Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you all fine. Dear students, this lecture is for grade 10, subject chemistry. And in this lecture, we will discuss the remaining topics of chapter number 14, like the exercise. And also, we will start the next chapter, that is chapter number 15, in this lecture. And I am your lecturer, Mrs. Saira Jamal. Short question answers of the exercise. Question number one, list two main sources of acid rain. What are the sources of acid rain, or what makes the rain acidic? As I told you before, that the carbonic acid, nitric acid, and sulfuric acid actually decreases the pH of rain and make the rainwater acidic. Although I told you that carbon dioxide is normally dissolved in acid rain, and carbon dioxide when react with water will form carbonic acid. But carbonic acid is a weak acid, so it decreases the pH of rainwater till 5.6, which is least acidic. But the sulfur dioxide, or in other words oxides of sulfur may be sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide, and oxides of nitrogen are nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. These gases are released into the air by burning of fossil fuels, by the exhaust of automobiles. These gases actually they are present in air, and they react with rainwater and form a nitric acid and sulfuric acid, which are strong acids, and they decreases the pH of the rainwater till 2.1 and make the rainwater acidic. So acid rain is mainly caused by the burning of fossil fuels, and I told you the exhaust of the automobiles, which releases these harmful gases into the atmosphere. And in automobile, gasoline is present. Gasoline, petrol is also called gasoline, and other fossil fuels, they may be carbon dioxide, they may be natural gas, and gasoline, the petrol. Burning of these fossil fuels, they produces oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, and these gases are released into the air when these fossil fuels are burnt. And when they mix with the precipitation in clouds, acid rain is formed. Precipitation in clouds, like they react with the water present over there, and then they form the acidic rain. Question number two, list four human activities which contribute to air pollution. So the first one I told you is burning of fossil fuel, which produces these pollutants, these harmful gases, deforestation or cutting trees, the uses of freon gas, which we used in our refrigerators, in ACs. These gases also produces the pollutants like chlorofluorocarbons and ozone. Production of methane from dead plant material, that is also production of methane by the dead material is also one of the human activity which causes the air pollution. Question number three, what is the function of stratospheric ozone? You know that ozone is present in the second layer of atmosphere, which is called stratosphere, and ozone is present in stratosphere. As I told you, when we are going at altitude from surface of the earth to the troposphere, which is the first layer of the atmosphere, the temperature decreases, and for 1 kilometer, the decrease in temperature I told you is 6.5 degrees centigrade. But when one reaches to the stratosphere, the temperature increases and the temperature increases from -55 to -5 degrees Celsius. Why the increase in temperature in stratosphere takes place? The reason is that actually ozone is present in stratosphere 10 parts per million, and that ozone actually absorb the ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun and filter them or convert them into heat. So you can say that ozone saves us from harmful effects of incoming ultraviolet radiations from the sun. The energy is converted into heat, and that heat in turn warm the surrounding air. Ozone layer protects the living things on Earth from dangerous ultraviolet radiations from sun. So this is the importance of ozone, that it filter the ultraviolet radiations which comes from the sun and converted those ultraviolet radiations into heat. That heat actually increases the temperature of the stratosphere. Question number 4, what is the role of automobile in air pollution? Exhaust fumes of automobiles, including dangerous gases such as carbon monoxide, incomplete combustion of this gasoline or petrol produces carbon monoxide, which is a very toxic gas. Oxides of nitrogen, nitric oxide, and nitrogen dioxide, hydrocarbons, and particulates. Unburned, you can say the incomplete combustion produces carbon monoxide, oxides of nitrogen, some hydrocarbons, and also sulfur dioxide. These exhaust fumes of automobiles are responsible for air pollution, because all these gases I told you are released into the atmosphere from the exhaust of these automobiles. So that's why it is compulsory to fit an equipment called catalytic converter into the engines of automobiles, which will convert the harmful gases into non-harmful gases. Question number 5, define atmosphere. The envelope of gases and water vapor surrounding the planet Earth is called atmosphere. All the gases which are present in the surrounding of the Earth, or in other words, you can say which surround the Earth, is called atmosphere. And we learned the different layers of the atmosphere, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. Coming towards the long question answers, question number 4, list components of stratosphere and troposphere. Like what are present in, or which components are present in stratosphere, that is the second layer of atmosphere, and troposphere, the first layer of atmosphere. So composition of the second layer of atmosphere, that is stratosphere. As I told you that the stratosphere, in the upper layer of stratosphere, ozone is present, 10 parts per million. So the temperature of the lower stratosphere, which is closest to the troposphere, it is -55 degrees centigrade, which is colder. But the upper layer is warmer than the lower stratosphere. And why is that layer warmer? This layer contain little water vapors and maximum amount of ozone. About 10 parts per million ozone is present in the upper layer of stratosphere. And you know that the presence of this ozone is actually responsible for the rise of temperature in stratosphere. How it increases the temperature of the stratosphere? This is the, you can call it the importance of ozone. Like ozone in stratosphere is very important for us. Although I told you that on troposphere or on Earth, the ozone is a pollutant. It is harmful for us. But ozone in the stratosphere is important for us. Why is it important? I told you that ozone protects the living things on the earth from the harmful radiations coming from the sun. When ozone absorbs energy from the sun, the energy is converted into heat, and then that heat actually increases the temperature of the stratosphere. So the water vapors and ozone is present in the stratosphere. Composition of troposphere, which is the first layer of the atmosphere. This layer contains most of the mass, 75 to 80% of the atmosphere. It means most of the mass of the atmosphere is present in this first layer. So 75 to 80% components are present in the first layer, and then the remaining are present in the other layers of the atmosphere. It is the layer where we live. We also live in this layer. All the dust particles and water vapors are present in troposphere. Weather occurs in this layer. All the changes in weather occurs in this layer. Most of the clouds are formed in the troposphere, and aircrafts fly in this region. So this is the composition of troposphere, what are present in the troposphere. About 75 to 80% of the mass is present in this layer. We live in this layer. Dust particles, water vapors are present here. Weather changes takes place in this layer. Clouds are formed in this layer, and also aircraft fly in this layer. Question number 6, describe acid rain and its effects. First of all, you must write the definition of acid rain. Acid rain is defined as rain having pH less than 5.6. Why pH less than 5.6? Because I told you that 5.6 is the pH of normal rain, and that 5.6, which is a little bit acidic pH, because of the carbonic acid, carbon dioxide dissolved in rainwater and form carbonic acid, which is normally present in rainwater, and that's why the pH of rainwater is acidic, that is 5.6. And carbonic acid is a weak acid. So normal rainwater is saturated. Saturated means concentration of carbon dioxide is high, and it has pH of 5.6. However, the acidity of rain greatly increases in polluted areas during thunderstorm. Actually, the oxidation of nitrogen gas and sulfur takes place in the presence of thunderstorm. So during thunderstorm, the gases which are present in atmosphere, their oxidation takes place, and then they react with the rainwater and form acids. So you can say that the medium is provided by the thunderstorm. Thunderstorm provide them the heat, or in the word, the power to oxidize. So sulfur dioxide from power plants using fossil fuels, and nitrogen oxides from exhaust fumes of automobile dissolved in rainwater and producing acids. You can see sulfur dioxide. I told you the main source is from power plants, and during the thunderstorm, this sulfur dioxide oxidizes into sulfur trioxide, and this sulfur trioxide then react with rainwater and form a sulfuric acid. The oxides of nitrogen, the main source is the uh, exhaust fumes of automobile, and their oxidation and then reaction with water produces nitric acid. So therefore, during the thunderstorm, the pH of rainwater can be much lower because of the formation of sulfuric acid and nitric acids formed by the light rain. So this rain may have a pH as low as 2.1, and this lower value is you can see lower than the pH of vinegar and lemon juice. It means vinegar and lemon juice we are using in our diet. They are not harmful for our body, but the pH less than 2.1 is harmful. It is very acidic and is harmful. What are the effect of acid rain? If the rain is acidic, then this acidic rain is very harmful. The acid rain falls hundreds of kilometers away from their sources, uh, because in the industrial areas and these gases are produced. So then they are moving to the other areas, and about hundreds of kilometers away from that area. And then acid rain corrodes metals, stone buildings, and statues. Marble statues are slowly eroded by acid rain. So acid rain, actually the sulfuric acid and nitric acid, which is present in acidic rain, they react with the marble or stone buildings or with metals, and then they convert. You can see these chemical reactions when sulfuric acid react with metal. So sulfuric acid react with metal, or in other words, you can say sulfuric acid eats away metals to form water soluble salts and hydrogen. So you can see that calcium carbonate, it is, we can call it statues, which contain this calcium carbonate, and these calcium carbonate or marble, then the rainwater react with the marble or with this calcium carbonate. uh, Calcium sulfate is formed, water and carbon dioxide gas is formed. So this reaction, this calcium carbonate will washed out or dissolved out in the form of calcium sulfate. You can see the solid calcium carbonate is converted into aqueous. Aqueous means in its solution, and then definitely it will wash away with water. Same is this calcium carbonate or marble when react with the nitric acid will give calcium nitrate. You can see aqueous calcium carbonate dissolved in water and washed out with water. So it means that sulfuric acid and nitric acid, actually they washed out the calcium carbonate or corrode them, the statues and also the buildings which are made up of this calcium carbonate, or you can call them marble. Acid rain also kills fish and destroy trees. Lakes and rivers may become too acidic for living things to survive. Trees destroyed by acid rain, and fishes are also killed by the acid rain. So the effects of acidic rain on marble, and also we can write their effect on the metals. Effect of acidic rain on metal also we can write here. Suppose we have iron, like the statues or the buildings which have this metal iron in them, or definitely they are made up of iron, especially most of the the buildings they have iron over there. So this iron actually react with the acids, like with the nitric acid or with sulfuric acid. So we can say an iron, which is a metal. Bridges are made up of iron. The buildings have iron over there. Some mostly statues, etc., are also made up of iron. So when this iron react with sulfuric acid or nitric acid, they are converted into iron sulfate, FeSO4, iron sulfate, and what is left? Iron and sulfate, so hydrogen is left. And keep this in your mind that metal when react with acid, they always form hydrogen gas. This is an important statement. Keep this in your mind. So we'll give hydrogen gas. So effect of acid rain is not only on marble, also and on the aquatic life, but also on metal as well. They convert the solid iron, which is in the solid form. It reacts with sulfuric acid, which is present in rainwater, and convert it into soluble iron sulfate. And definitely this iron sulfate will washed out with water. So that's why this acidic rain also eats away metals to form water soluble salts and hydrogen gas. So this statement is for this reaction. And calcium carbonate, I told you marbles, they react. Marble is when come in exposure to the acidic rain, then causes the corrosion or erosion of this marble and convert them into soluble form. Okay, so there are the three effects of acid rain: effect on metal, effect on metal, effect on the marble, stone or marble, and effect on the aquatic life. So you can use three headings for the effects as well. Next question is for the ozone depletion and its effect. So ozone depletion, you know that ozone is, as I told you, is very important gas in the stratosphere, and they actually filter the ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun. So the question is, describe ozone depletion and its effect. So ozone depletion and its effect over recent years, scientists have discovered a reduction in the amount of ozone in stratosphere. The concentration of ozone decreases in stratosphere. So that decrease or the area or the region in which amount of ozone has been decreases or reduced is called ozone hole. So ozone hole was first observed in October 1980 in Antarctica, because I told you that the pollutants which are produced in areas, they move hundred of kilometers away from the source, and then at that distance they causes the problems. Same is here. Ozone hole was first observed in 1980 in Antarctica. The chlorofluorocarbons are actually the pollutants which causes this ozone depletion, and the sources of chlorofluorocarbons I told you are the aerosol sprays or cans, the air conditioning systems, the refrigerators. These chlorofluorocarbons are produced by these sources, and one more thing which I told you are that these chlorofluorocarbons are inert on the troposphere. Inert means they are unreactive and are highly stable uh, in troposphere. So chlorofluorocarbons, they escapes into the atmosphere. They are low boiling liquids. They are so inert that they do not react with any other chemicals in the troposphere. In the troposphere, they are totally unreactive. So they slowly diffuses into the second layer of the atmosphere, that is a stratosphere, which is also called ozone layer. In the stratosphere, the ozone is present, so we can call it ozone layer. And then these chlorofluorocarbon actually react with the ozone because ultraviolet radiation, only ultraviolet radiation breaks these chlorofluorocarbon molecule, and then they produces the chlorine free radicals. And you know that the free radicals are highly reactive, so those free radicals then react with the ozone. So chlorine free radical then react with ozone and form chlorine monoxide, ClO, chlorine monoxide, and along with molecular oxygen. Chlorine free radical is formed by the chlorofluorocarbons when ultraviolet radiation breaks them, and then they produces the chlorine free radical. This chlorine free radical then react with ozone in the presence of ultraviolet radiation from chlorine monoxide and oxygen molecule, and then this chlorine monoxide react with atomic oxygen and give chlorine free radical and oxygen molecule. So as chlorine free radical is regenerated in the second step, it is used in the first step and produced in the second step. So we can say that this chlorine free radical acts as a catalyst, and you know that catalysts are regenerated at the end of a chemical reaction, and they speed up the chemical reaction. So chlorine radical acts in this case as a catalyst, and one chlorine free radical can destroy thousands of ozone molecules because it is used regenerated. So the net reaction are, we will cut the similar terms at both sides by cutting the similar terms. By cutting the similar terms, we can have these by cutting the similar ones, the terms, we can get the net reaction. The net reaction is chlorine monoxide is present at this site and also at the product site, and chlorine free radical at the reactant and at the products. So from this side we will get ozone, atomic oxygen, and from this side we will get the two oxygen molecules. So this is the net reaction. So the chlorine free radical that reacts in step 1 is regenerated in step 2. Step 1 is it is used and regenerated in step 2. So one chlorine can therefore destroy thousands of ozone molecules, and uh, this how this can we can say that ozone is causing the uh, these chlorofluorocarbons are causing the ozone depletion or ozone hole. Question number 8, describe global warming. Global warming is an aspect of climate change referring to the long-term rise of the planet temperature. The temperature of the planet increases day by day, and this increase in temperature is due to the increase in concentration of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Mainly, these greenhouse gases comes from the human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and farming. Greenhouse gases are the gases that absorb and emit radiant energy within the thermal infrared range. Greenhouse gases cause the greenhouse effect on planet. The primary greenhouse gases in Earth atmosphere are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. All these are the greenhouse gases. They trap the infrared radiation and prevent them from escaping out from the atmosphere or from the troposphere, which in turn increases the temperature of the atmosphere and causes global warming. Effects of global warming or greenhouse effect. The temperature of the earth will gradually increases. The earth climate may change, affecting both where there is rainfall and how much there is of it. This could cause both increased risk of flooding in both region and drought in others. This increasing temperature actually may cause is the melting of the glaciers and like heavy rainfalls, which may cause flooding, and in some area there will be no because already the deserted areas they have dry weather, so due to the increase in temperature may cause drought over there. The polar ice melt and definitely the sea level will be increases and again causes flooding. So the temperature or the atmosphere becomes hotter and hotter because of this greenhouse gases, because their concentration increases. So we have to reduce the production of these greenhouse gases. We must control, we must use alternate sources or methods to control these production of these greenhouse gases or to stop the production of these greenhouse gases. Why is global warming often referred as greenhouse effect? The exchange of incoming and outgoing radiation, exchange of incoming and outgoing radiation mean the radiations or the ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun, and then the reflection or of the those ultraviolet radiation in the form of infrared radiation to the atmosphere. uh, so Earth is often referred to as the greenhouse effect because a greenhouse works in much the same way. This effect lets tropical plants thrive inside a greenhouse. Tropical plants which grows in special area, they need special condition. But by making or by building greenhouses, even during a cold winter, we can grow those plants or we can cultivate those plants even in a cold winter by making these greenhouses. So greenhouses are constructed from glass or transparent polymer films. Sunlight can pass through these materials and is used by the plants for photosynthesis. And the plant then radiates some energy in the form of infrared and heat radiation, but they cannot pass through these material as in reflected back, same like the greenhouse gases in our earth. So as a result, the atmosphere inside the greenhouse becomes hot enough to promote plant growth. So temperature inside a greenhouse can be 10 degrees centigrade to 15 degrees centigrade greater than from outside. If the outside temperature is suppose 5 degrees centigrade, so inside will be 15 degrees centigrade or 20 degrees centigrade. Inside the greenhouses, the temperature will be more than to 10 or 15 times greater than the outside temperature. In this image, you can see the greenhouses. These greenhouses have the same principle as our Earth. Question number 12, there is scientific evidence that chlorofluorocarbon contribute to the evolution of ozone. Why ozone hole? The region in which amount of ozone has been reduced is called ozone hole. Ozone hole was first observed in October 1980 in Antarctica. The chlorofluorocarbons I told you are so stable that they only exposure to strong ultraviolet radiation break down, and when that happens, the chlorofluoro molecule releases atomic chlorine. One chlorine atom can destroy over 100,000 ozone molecules. So you can see the reaction. Chlorofluorocarbon produces chlorine free radical. This chlorine free radical then react with ozone and converted to monoxide. Monoxide then converted or regenerated the chlorine free radical, which then act upon other ozone molecule and destroy them. So this was the last question. Hope you understand this lecture. Inshallah, in our next lecture, we will start the next chapter, chapter number 15. Till then, take care. Allah.